Hello, everybody. Roger Wakefield here. Happy Saturday morning. This is Sippin' Saturday. Although we may not make it out to the safe today and pop open bourbon or tequila, but you never know. I have a special guest from Canada in the house today, Jamie McMillan. How are you?
I am awesome. It is so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Have you had fun?
I am having so much fun. I almost don't want to go home.
See, it's the way we roll here. Just gonna tell y'all, we literally she came into town yesterday. Took her out to the property where we're building the training center, the marketing, the studios. This studio, we want to have it out there by the time she got here. It's probably going to take us another week or two. We're still working, getting flying cables and all the good stuff done. But it's a lot of fun. I got to go out and see that.
Yep.
Got to play with our redneck golf toys.
So much fun. They need to reinvent the golf game with that.
Oh, I think we're going to. So I've got an air cannon that literally, we pump up with about 130 PSI yesterday, and we're launching golf balls about 300 yards. It's fun, isn't it?
Oh my God, so much fun. It's the way everyone should play golf.
Oh, yes. I would play golf a whole lot more. And I don't know why I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb, or it says I'm on vacation, and I'm gonna make sure so I don't have any problems. But then we went to dinner last night.
Did.
That way we could talk about the trades, where we're at, what's going on. How was dinner? Do I pick good restaurants?
Oh my God.
Wait. We did lunch yesterday. First, let's back up.
We did.
How's the barbecue in Texas?
That was amazing. Amazing. They definitely know how to cook their meat here.
Yes, we do. And then we went to Mexican food last night, but we went to gourmet Mexican food.
Yeah. It was very funny because he originally asked me if I wanted to go for steak or Mexican. And my reply was, do you have good Mexican food in Texas?
Yeah, do you have good Mexican food in Texas? I'm like, girl, where are you from? Oh, yeah, Canada. Those of y'all that don't know, Texas borders Mexico. So, yes, we have really good
Well, I got the best of both worlds, though, because I got the steak,
which was Mexican restaurant.
Oh, yeah. The steak was so good. You could literally cut it with like a spoon.
Yeah, they're super tender.
Best steak ever.
How were the salsas?
Everything was delicious.
It was. I'm not going to say if we had margaritas or not, but if we did have, they were really good too.
Spicy.
I'm just saying. So yeah, we had fun. Yeah. And then Jamie came in this morning. Literally, we've done a podcast interview.
Yes.
We've shot a video. Now we're here on the live stream, and I want to say hello to everybody. Going to jump in the comments real quick. Looks like Jamie's already got some friends in here. Zena M says, "Hey Jamie, good luck on the interview. I know you'll keep it real."
Absolutely.
I tell you what, it was fun. It was really fun, and that's why. Look, I've known Jamie now probably about 3 years, somewhere around in there. I'll have to go back and look on LinkedIn or something like that and see when we actually connected. But it's probably been at least 3 years. Maybe even before that, may have been like 19, right at the beginning of COVID, somewhere around in there. But the cool thing about it is we got to know each other. We're both advocates of the trade. We both help try to recruit into the trade, and we do it different ways. Yeah. And she's in Canada, those of y'all that didn't hear. So it's been kind of interesting.
Yep. It's been amazing.
Okay. Working to the bone. What's up? Good to see you in here. Zepp's Gear. I want you to know, number one, good morning to you. Jamie brought this in. This is your brochure, and looking through it, it's like, man, there's some cool stuff in here. So I think you're doing good things. Thank you very much. Neat stuff. And I think it's a great idea and a great story. Why did you come up with the idea of that?
Great story. I'll try to tell it as best as I can on your behalf, Pete, and thanks for tuning in. So Pete is a skilled trades professional. He's a carpenter and he works in a scaffolding gang. I believe he's a superintendent now. And he had been on a job site where I believe he had fallen in a harness, and the special jacket that he was using didn't have the proper hole in the back. And when he fell, it was choking him out. And he realized that there was a need for a better safety jacket. So he came up with Zepp's Gear. And it's been tested multiple times. It is a great jacket. Not to mention all the incredible features he has in this jacket. He's thought of everything, the radio, they're comfortable fits. They're made for, he's got both gender jackets. So it's a really great jacket. I guarantee that if you buy it, you'll love it. Go to Zep's Gear, check it out. He made this harness. It's for tradespeople by tradespeople. So thanks, Pete, for doing that.
Cool deal. Angelo, morning to you. Good to see you in here. Of course, is obscure. Good morning and happy you're here. Five Brothers says, I'm a first year plumber. I was wondering how to learn how to rub ABS, how to run ABS. You know, here in Texas, we run PVC. It's the same. It's both a plastic that you use solvents and primers and things like that to glue. Always run it true plumbing square. And I mean, that's a boiler maker, iron worker, pipe fitter. Man, true plumbing square. Make your stuff look good. And do you notice different tradesmen as an iron worker, a boiler maker, the ones that really take pride in their work and the ones that are like, look, just put it in.
Yep.
There's a big difference in there.
Yep. There's a lot of people that are in it for the passion, and then some people are in it for the paycheck.
And it's easy to tell which is which.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you can spend an hour working around them and you're like, okay, now I know. It's guys, try to be the best. And there's a book by, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Seth Godin. He wrote a book called The Dip. And basically in the very beginning, he's like, look, if you're not trying to be the very best, why not? And it's plain and simple. Do you try to be the very best when you're on your jobs?
I do, especially as an underrepresented group. I want to prove that I'm there for the right reasons. So I want to do my job good.
Underrepresented as in iron workers?
As in iron workers, as in being a
Women,
female in the
you bet.
industry. I mean, there's a lot of underrepresented groups, and I never want to just say women are treated differently because we're an underrepresented group. There's a lot of people that are treated differently.
You bet.
So people are people. It's not about gender. It's not about anything else. It's just about people.
Completely agree with you. Marco Martinez says, good morning from San Diego. How are you doing? Working to the bones is up in here with Roger and Jamie McMillan. And I think that, let me see, I think he's, yeah, got that on there. It's great having Jamie in here. So this is cool. So working to the bone, absolutely. Glad to see you in here. Zep's Gear, you are more than welcome. Yeah, got to see it, look through it. And I think that's cool. So what is it? Oh, good question. Boy, let's start off. And this is from The Plumber 97. What's it like being a female iron worker?
I take great pride in it. Now, I haven't been on the tools in a couple of years because I'm doing a lot more professional speaking now and educating in school. So I don't get the opportunities to get out and be an iron worker as much. But being in this industry has been so epic, going out to the job site and being able to say, I built that. And, you know, I never needed a gym membership while I was in the skilled trades because you're going out and you're actively working every day. And being able to say that I'm in a career that's considered one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the world, and being able to prove that I can do it and I can do it just as good as some of the guys, sometimes even better, is an amazing, amazing experience, an amazing, empowering feeling.
Yeah, and I like that because you were talking about coming in as a minority type person. When I got into the union, I came from open shop and they don't like that. I was called everything in the book, uh, rat. And there's other words that they add on top of that, but you're a rat. How hard is it coming in as a woman?
There's different people that treat you differently. I mean, coming in as a woman now, I didn't come in through open shop. I came in directly to the union, so I didn't have that, you know, animosity against me from some of the people that just, in my opinion, kind of
Just
lack
don't like
emotional
you.
intelligence, if you think that. I mean, skilled trades are for everybody, and there's so many different pathways. I'm not biased to what they get into, but I've had a lot of people say, oh, women shouldn't be in the construction industry. You should be at home, or you should, you know, be working as a secretary. And I'm like, you know what? These are jobs that we can all do, and it doesn't matter how we identify. It's our ability and our attitude. So yeah, learn over time that you have to just ignore the background noise and just do what you love and are passionate about it. And if you're good at your job, then that's going to reflect, and that's it.
And it's not background noise, it's BS noise.
Yeah.
And I'm a plumber, that's bull sewage.
Okay.
Just
I like
saying,
that.
it is what it is. But, you know, there's a shortage of people in the trades.
Yeah.
And it was so neat because getting to talk to Jamie a while ago during the podcast interview, and those of y'all that don't know, the podcast interview will be over on the Trade Talks. And I will put a link to that in here in just a minute. If I were you, I would go over and subscribe because it will let you know when it comes out. But the funny thing is, you didn't even really know what an iron worker was when you went and applied to be in the union, did you?
Not at all. Not at all. Somebody told me about it and I just went and applied because you know what sounded good? Free education, actually paid
Okay.
education.
So you get in and start out in the beginning. What'd you think about it then once you got in? I mean, I cannot imagine, and I have people all the time reach out to me and say, "Look, I wanna get in the trades. I know nothing about plumbing. I wanna get in the trades. I don't know how to be an electrician. I wanna get in the trades. I don't know what kind of tools I need to be an HVAC guy." You got in, you didn't even know what they did. You're just like, "Hey, I'm just applying for a job."
Yep.
By the way, what do y'all do?
Yep.
How that takes some nerve right there.
It does, but I'm lucky because I had a great upbringing. I mean, I've always been we lived in a neighborhood filled with boys when I was young, and my father was always very hands-on. So was my mom. She was a nurse, but they were always doing renovations around the house. So I did have a comfort level with working with some tools, which was really a good thing. And I was always kind of a tomboy too. I hung around with a lot of boys. So it wasn't really a big reach for me to go into a male dominated career. But I have to say, going in and just kind of, it was like a crash course of learning was actually really exciting for me because I have this high level spectrum of ADHD and I really love these types of challenges. So for me, it was like, yeah, I'm doing this. And I was learning as I went and I felt like a big sponge. I was just absorbing everything and my eyes must have been sparkling because so much fun.
So 10 days in, 10 days in,
Yep.
one of your superintendents or foreman tells you you're not gonna make it.
That's right. Yep. They were
That pissed you off, didn't it?
It was yep, it did. So I remember my superintendent sitting next to me. I was on confined space watch, which I had been doing for 10 days. This was my first job out on a shutdown at a steel plant, and I was confined space. And for me, that was so boring. But it was an introduction to the trades, which I think is really great. But he came and sat there with me, and I was telling him how much I wanted to try this, and he told me, "You're not going to make it as an iron worker. You're too pretty." And yes, that ticked me off because too pretty? Are you kidding me? You have no idea who I am. You don't have any idea the experience I had growing up that I could swing a hammer probably better than he could. And that motivated me. It's like, success is the best revenge. When somebody tells you you can't do something, what do? You work harder to prove them wrong. And that's exactly what I did.
And you've done pretty good.
Yes.
You're probably one of the most famous iron workers that I know. I mean, and look, I'm in social media. I don't see a lot of other ones. Not just talking about iron workers, but the trades in general, and getting out and doing some of the things you're doing. So, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I think you made it. Don't worry about what he said. I want to scroll through some comments here. Shelby Shivers. Shelby says, apprentice here in Lufkin, Texas, with Moxie Plumbing Contractors. Number one, Ben to Lufkin. Congratulations to you, Shelby. We're plumbing in a Chick-fil-A store in Chick-fil-A stores across Texas with a 6-man crew in the field from rough end to top out, setting fixtures, whole 9 yards. We're currently in Big Springs, Texas, finishing up utilities. I love that. When I was in high school, I fell in love with a girl from Big Springs, Texas, in Lubbock at Texas Tech for a journalism workshop. And man, see, just the things you remember. Congratulations, number one, on being a plumbing apprentice. Uh, we've talked about how you got in. You just went and applied, didn't know what you're doing. I started out open shop. Are there any serious skills? What does it take really to be a good tradesman?
A good attitude.
Number one.
That's number one, good attitude. I mean, skills can be taught to anybody. It's getting out there, showing up on time, and being willing to literally go to work. That's what makes a skilled trades person good. And not feeling afraid to ask questions. I mean, sometimes I felt silly to ask questions, but there's no stupid questions. If you want to become the best worker that you can possibly be, ask questions. And I'll give some really good advice. Find the oldest guy on the crew or on the job site and ask him for all the tips and tricks because they know everything.
And, we've talked about that before. And those of y'all that know Squirt, know Randy, Squirt, Randy, Henry, whatever you want to call him. He says the same thing. He says, Dad, where I learned to be really good, which don't get me wrong, he learned plumbing from me before he ever got in the union, working with me on side jobs or different things like that. But he said the same thing you did. He says, when he'd get to the job, the superintendent show him around the job, and a good superintendent will do that.
Yep.
Take you around, show you what's going on, what we're trying to do. And Randy, whenever they walk by the old guy, he'd always say, "Hey, that's the one I want you to put me with." The superintendent's like, "Look, nobody wants to work with him." Randy's like, "No, that's exactly why I want to work with him." They're ornery. Sometimes they're a pain to work with. But if you show them, look, I'm here to work and I'm here to learn.
Yep.
There's nothing in the world they won't show you.
That's right. They want to teach you.
They do.
Yep. And they don't have, some people are afraid to work with the crusty old guy on the site. You think, no, they seem, old and grumpy or whatever.
Grumpy. That's the word.
Grumpy. But they're not. Like, once you approach them and you prove that you're there to do the job, they will show you everything, and they'll show you the tricks of the trades. That these tricks of the trades are dying because we have these old people retiring and they're not able to pass that knowledge down to the newer generations. We're losing years and years of experience because they're leaving the trades. So get into the trades, and no matter how young you are, find the oldest person on the job site before they're gone and get as much information from them as you can.
And I want to say something here, and I just want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong. If the old guy on the job, you think he's grumpy and mean and he doesn't like you, I'm going to tell you, you have not convinced him that you want to work harder than everybody else and you want to learn more than everybody else. Did I pretty much hit that right?
Yeah. Or sometimes they just seem like
sometimes you just hadn't got to know them.
Sometimes you just don't know their personality. They some people have that resting mean face.
Resting Richard face.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Or they're just quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they're just grumpy. Naturally.
They're just grumpy.
And it may be.
They're not morning people.
You bet. Yeah. Their day starts at 5 PM. You just haven't met them there yet.
Like me.
The Plumber 97 says, how has being a spokesperson for the trades been? Have you noticed a lot more people, not just women, get interested in the trades now that there is a shortage? I'll let you answer it first.
Okay.
Because you're a good spokesperson too. I love what you do.
So the numbers overall haven't really gone up that much. But here's the thing. Being a spokesperson in this industry, I started promoting the industry before social media came out. We weren't all connected yet. Once social media came out, we were able to solidify these groups of people that could support each other. I know women who have worked all over the US and thought that they were the only female
ever in the trade
because they worked for years on the tools and never seen another woman. Then all of a sudden skilled trades came out. We have groups now with over 6,000 women talking to each other from all over the world. So I've seen a significant amount of interest in the skilled trades, and I've actually seen a lot more people pursuing this as career pathways. The problem is we have a gap. Kids are coming out of school, and even if they're taking tech programs, or even if they've gone to colleges and taken tech programs, we have a gap in the industry because employers are screaming, we have a shortage of work. Please, come get into the trades. But nobody wants to give that first-year apprentice an opportunity. And that's really where I see one of the biggest gaps. The other gap is we still have a lot of toxicity in the workplace. And because of that, retention is an issue.
Toxicity towards
just people being people. It could be toxicity targeted towards some people. It could just be toxicity in the workplace. It's not a comfortable working environment. You might be working for a company that's, not very supportive of the fact that whether you're a single mom or single dad, maybe they're not giving you those days off to take care of your sick kids, or those days you need off at the hospital. Maybe they're making you work overtime and not understanding your childcare programs. Maybe it's just a toxic environment and you're working with a bunch of jerks. So there's a lot of different reasons why people aren't staying, and some of it is targeted, some of it's just
It's just the
generic.
way it is.
Yeah.
Culture of a company is huge.
Yeah.
Have you worked for some companies that are they're amazing to work? You go in every day and you're like, man, I have the freaking greatest job.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You feel that way. You're in most cases, you're always going to run into that one or two people, or maybe somebody's just having a bad day. Like you have that, or sometimes you're having the bad day and your emotional headspace isn't great that day and it's on you. But for the most part, even in a toxic workplace, I'm so in love with my career that I still want to be there, even
You
when
bet.
there is that toxicity.
I've been on jobs, I got into the union after 17 years of plumbing. So, they thought I was stupid. Luckily for me, I moved up. I became a foreman, a superintendent. I moved all the way up to director of operations. And I remember when I was a superintendent on a job, I had to carry my union book around, the union contract, because guys would be like, oh, well, we get this, we get this. Like, no, no, no. Y'all read that all wrong. And I mean, I got to where I had to study that. I love the union. I love the fact, and I want to say this. I love the fact the union is there to take care of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they have great benefits, the great insurance. That might be the best part. Insurance and pay are probably the two best things. The education,
Yep.
I think is phenomenal. Here's what I don't like about the union. They're there to take care of people. If Fred is the laziest guy on the job and he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, the union still takes care of him. Hey, got to keep Fred, man. He's been around for 30 years. It's like Fred can't do the job. And I mean, I remember letting go of a plumber because I had to go back and fix his work so many times.
Mhm.
And I let him go and I put lack of skill, reason being. And my union called me up and said, you can't do that. So why not? I said, right, it goes on his record and he's out trying to get other jobs. I said, well, then he ought to do his job right. He knows what to do. He's just not doing it. So there's a lack of skill there, and the skill being do your job properly every day.
Yeah.
And my union did not like me very much, but I got a job to run.
Yeah.
And, another thing about the union, and people say, look, I hate the unions because I get laid off all the time. Number one, again, we're going to talk about the book, The Dip. Become the very best. If you're the best apprentice, the best journeyman, the best foreman, the best superintendent, whatever, nobody's going to let go of you. They're like, look, I got to find a way to keep you. Unless it's just there's no work. Then at that point, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Do you run into some really, really great tradespeople? And then do you run into some? It's like, because the union makes you think that I remember when I got in, they're like, dude, you'll never make it in the union. After I'm in there about a month, I'm like, half you guys would have got kicked out of the trades because you'd have got fired from every open shop company there is. It is that way though, too, isn't it? In Canada?
People are people.
There's good and bad everywhere.
There's great things about the union. I love that we have representation. We have organizations that lobby for us. We do have the best pension and benefits. We have excellent wages, paid training, and top of the line paid training too. Like we're learning from some of the best. But people are still people. You will still have your people that don't show up on time. You will still have your people that party out all the night and then show up to work groggy and grumpy and not able to do their job. You still have people being people. And I think that's what we need to understand is it doesn't matter where you work, which environment, whether it's union, non-union, whether you work at a grocery store or you work in the skilled trades, people are people and you're going to run into those same situations everywhere.
It does happen.
Yep.
Shelby Shivers says, I like this. What are ways to prevent heat exhaustion in the field? Well, as I found out when we were shooting a video a while ago, Canada just shuts down. It's like, hey, it's a hot day. Let's stay home. Okay, maybe it wasn't quite put that
Just
way, but I get to give her a hard time. Look for heat exhaustion. Take plenty of breaks. You even said y'all got it like in your contract when it's either super hot, super cold. You can only work outside for 8 minutes, 7 minutes,
Yep.
and then you've got to come back and warm up. And you rotate. So
Yes.
so I guess you got to be inside for 7 or 8 minutes,
This
or
is when we're working in really cold
you
environments
you,
like
you
Fort
bet.
McMurray. It's real, like way northern Canada in the oil sands. It was really cold. I remember we had a cycle, I believe it was 7 or 8 minutes, where we were allowed to work and then we had to go like warm up for 20 minutes. And the production ended up becoming so slow and a lot of jobs couldn't be done. We couldn't keep, like when you're welding, you couldn't keep the steel hot. It was cracking, hydraulics weren't working. And so they ended up shutting down the job for 3 days during that cold snap. So yeah, that happens.
That's pretty wild. Okay, so ways that you can prevent it when it's hot. Now, cold, you can't put on enough clothes to stay warm. I mean,
No,
and by the time you get that much on, you're walking around like this. It's like, okay, or like grab that hammer. It's like, yeah, if I fall down, somebody's gonna have to come pick me up. And I see that. Uh, and I've heard of some tradespeople that they're like, look, we just don't work from November to February, something like that. And it's like, wow, heat's a little bit different. I think that we can wear loose clothing, something that can breathe. Maybe a t-shirt underneath, maybe not. Uh, they've got the neck rags that you can soak, and man, that can keep you like 10 or 15 degrees cooler right there. They make them for the hard hat. I saw it on TikTok the other day. A guy says, put this woman's pad on the inside of your head. He said, because if you don't, he says, sweat runs down in your eyes. And I'm laughing. And he says, but then after it gets really wet, this gel stuff starts coming out in your eyes. And I laugh so hard. I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, they make, bandanas, stuff like that you can put on under your hard hat to help absorb that. Get the bandana wet every 30 minutes to an hour. Go get it wet again. Cool your neck pad down. Uh, Set a fan up, work in front of a fan. One of the first things that I did as a superintendent when I knew we were going to be in an area, DFW airport's the one I'm thinking of in particular, all the carbon steel lines that we ran under a terminal, literally, or I guess that was E terminal, literally, it's like I was ordering 3-foot fans in January or February. And they're like, why? You don't need them right now. No, but when I need them, I'm going to have them.
Yep.
And we even made the guys put them out then. That way they knew, hey, when it starts getting warm, we've got something to help keep us cool. Drink plenty of fluid. Take breaks when you're supposed to take breaks. Is there anything else that you think to avoid heat exhaustion?
we have, I've been on some really great job sites, and on those hot days, they even have so your electrolytes, be
You bet.
really cognizant of drinking your electrolytes, Gatorade, whatever, but they'll make us up drinks, and I remember one job site where they came around and passed us, popsicles that had electrolytes in them. So, it's really nice when the foreman comes up to you and gives you a popsicle, and
Yeah,
you get to
I know
take a
you're like a little
5 minute.
kid, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, and I love that. I remember open shop and then going in the union. I remember first time I was on a union job and they brought out Gatorade, and I'm like, Gatorade? I'm excited, and that's what they brought us out to drink, and they're like, "Yeah, we need the electrolytes, we do Gatorade," and I'd never done that open shop, it was always water, and I was just like, "Okay, this union thing's pretty cool deal here. I like it." Uh, how you fix it? Iron workers are tough and awesome. Glad to hear your trade experience. Plumber since 2007.
Thank you.
It is a tougher group than most plumbers. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there. And you gotta kinda be crazy to be an iron worker.
That's what they say.
No, no, I'm standing next to you, I'm telling you. I'm not saying that, I'm telling you. You're slightly crazy.
Well, there's different aspects of the career too. Like, I mean, not everybody's a high ball steel walker. There's different aspects. There are people that are in the ironworkers that I know personally are afraid of heights and they don't get up and do that. So you might work in a shop, you might work with rigging, you might work with the cranes, you might be on the chain fall gang, you might be confined space. There's so what people don't understand is they're like, I don't want to be an iron worker. I don't want to, climb structures all day and walk like, the Rockefeller Center famous picture. They think that's what it always is. That's just one aspect of the trade. There are so many different aspects of the trade. I've worked a lot in steel plants and car plants and hydro plants, and we're just doing a lot of maintenance inside, and you're not really working up at height. You're doing work that you can almost do in a shop or anywhere else. So it's so diverse that never let anything like a fear of heights or thinking that we're all crazy distract you from considering this as a career, because if you feel unsafe, you're allowed to refuse unsafe work. So if you don't feel comfortable there, they're going to find the best place for you to work.
Do heights bother you?
Does what?
Heights.
No, I like heights. I'm not the best structural ironworker because that's not what I don't do a lot of that. That was never my part of my career. We don't do a lot of structural out of my local.
But you have good ties in the union.
Yes.
Got to go to San Francisco.
I did. This was awesome. Do you want me to tell the story?
Absolutely.
So thanks to the female ironworkers and the Ironworkers Local Hall 377 that made this happen. But I used to go to a trade women's conference that was in Sacramento for 3 years. And the first year I went, I got to go up on the Bay Bridge. And the second year I got a tour of the Golden Gate Bridge shop. And underneath it was the 75th anniversary of the bridge. The third year, this makes me really proud. We were taken with the ironworker crew, and they brought 4 female ironworkers up to the top of the Golden Gate Bridge, and we got to stand on top and learn from the ironworkers all about the bridge. We got to access the deck where they access the cables to walk the cables and paint, and we learned so much about the bridge that day, and I believe it was 710 feet above the water. It was the most epic experience, and as far as I know, I might be the only Canadian ironworker female that stood up there.
That's pretty cool. Look, union relationships are great.
Yeah.
It is good to have those ties. Zep Skier says, I hear you there. I came in from residential to a union. It's part of the cycle if you go that way. I love it. Tool Silks, I want to make sure I got that right. Toxic. I like that. Toxic. A whole completely different way to say it. Good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, it's probably about noontime now, getting really close. Welcome. Good to see you in here. Working to the Bone says 26 viewing and only 14 likes. Man, come on, really? All right. We went over 50. We bounced back down. Normally at 50 people, I ask everybody, put a comment in there. Tell us where you're from and what you do. And everybody's not an iron worker or a plumber. I get that. We'll talk bad about you. Not really, but we will have fun. Kel L says, hi, everyone. How is the Drury Inn in Richardson? If I come to Richardson, is that a good hotel? I'm going to tell you what. I put you up in the A-loft. When I bring people in, I put them at the A-loft. It's not very far from the Drury Inn. It's a cool part of town, though, isn't it?
It
You're
is
in a
really
neat
cool
little place, aren't you?
Yes, it was really cool.
We did that for a reason. Number one, how's the room? I've never been in the room, sir.
Oh, it's like a loft. It's really cool.
Okay.
My style.
Okay. And it is. I've been in the A-lofts before. I stay on. Have not been in that one. But she's in City Line, which is literally right down. You're probably less than a mile from the Drury Inn, maybe a mile. But it's a good area because where it's at, there's restaurants, there's sports bars, and all kinds of restaurants. Right across the street from you is the Fernando's. Has a great it's a great Mexican restaurant. Have a good little bar, set it and have a margarita. So Kellel, I would check that out. I don't think that there's anything back by the Drury Inn. I think if you go to the A-Loft in Richardson, you'll really enjoy it. Chris Reeves says, good morning, everyone. Good to see you in here. You guys, I did put a link in right there. I don't know if you can still click on that or not. Somebody got deleted by the Nightbot. D, I'm not sure what they put in right there. That is the link right there to the Trade Talks 2.0. We'll end up changing that to the Trade Talks. That is my other YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to that, jump over there and check that out. And the reason being, that's where the podcast interview that we shot earlier will be. And I had so much fun doing that. You know you're doing good. You know your guests are passionate. sincere and honest when they look at you and say, "Okay, I'm gonna cry." And this happens with guys that I brought in that they look at me and they're just like, "Dude, you're gonna make me cry." But it's like, I wanna know what it feels like. I wanna know a lot of cool stuff. And so I'm telling you guys, check it out. It is really, really good. It's so much fun doing that. So thank you.
It was a very genuine experience.
It's
Yeah.
just it's just talking.
Yeah.
It's I don't did I tell you any questions we were gonna talk about?
No.
It's just like, look, we're gonna talk about getting in the trades, becoming the best tradesman, starting your own business, using networking and social media to grow, and that's really what all we talked about.
Yep.
I just wanna find out the whys.
The wise.
Whys. Why do you do that? Why is that important to you? And I'm pretty good at asking questions.
He asks some tough ones.
I do. Uh, Zephyr says, "And she proved them wrong." Oh, yes. And that's it. When you get in the trades, I'm gonna say as a female for you, as a rat for me getting into the union, the best way to do it is just get in and prove people wrong.
Yes.
And I like your story. You were an attendant, but after you're like, "Hey, wait, I don't like anybody telling me I'm not gonna make it." Then they said, "Okay, then you're gonna go in and you're gonna clean."
Yep.
How good of a job did you
I
do?
had that place shining. I was in the flume underneath the steel plant, and I don't think that they realize I'm naturally strong. I come from a very strong family, and I was naturally that way my whole life. And I don't think they expected that a woman could sling 40-pound cables and grab a chain full and run up the stairs. And I just don't think they expected that from me. I don't think they realized that my physical strength was that I was more than capable of doing it. So when I had that place sparkling, of course, I'm pretty good at cleaning and organizing too. So
Mhm.
they were just impressed. And it's funny because later on in my career, once I became a journeyman, I was done my apprenticeship. I remember every once in a while they would rotate us around and have certain people clean the job shack. We didn't have laborers on the job site because sometimes laborers will do that. And they asked me to clean the job shack. And one day I cleaned the job shack, and by the time they came in, it was the cleanest they'd ever seen it. And so then after that, I started getting asked to do the job shack once a week, and people will like, "Aren't you insulted? You're a journeyman iron worker, and they're asking you to clean the job shack. Like, don't you feel that they're treating you like a woman?" And I'm like,
Scale plays the same.
"It pays the same. If you want to pay me that much money to clean the job shack, I was doing
Absolutely.
the best job. They were confident in my ability to do it,
Uh-huh.
and I took great pride in making that job shack clean and making the guys more comfortable over lunch."
I love it. And I was the same way. It's like, you know what? I remember, and one thing I did like about the union, I had worked in Plano Independent School District on a central utility plant, and I was a journeyman plumber. Well, it was mainly a pipe fitting job. Again, one of the old guys, Robert Zomnick on there, loved working with him, and a welder named Rick Bowden, who was an apprentice. And since I was a journeyman and they had an apprentice come in, they had to invite me in. Can't bring apprentices in unless the journeyman get offered. And I told the superintendent, I said, "I don't care." I said, "I mean, I can use the hours, but if you don't need me, I don't wanna just come in just to be here." He says, "No, I can use you. You'll come in and you'll work." He says, "It's just it gets offered to you because 'cause you're a journeyman." I said, "Okay, I'll come in." So I went in, they said, "Well, you're gonna be apprentice for Rick, or you're gonna work with him." Of course, they would never call you an apprentice like that. "You're gonna work with Rick." And it was laying out and fitting up and doing this and doing this and doing this, and I'm like, "Okay, it's pipe. Okay, I can handle this." We went through the day and, man, I mean, I humped it. We got stuff done. At the end of the day, this apprentice says, "Dude, you can fit for me any day." And I'm like, "I love that." And to me, that's what it's about. You give me a job to do, I'm gonna do it the best I can do. I'm gonna give it my all. I'm not gonna say, "Hey, I don't know how to do that. Here, you do it, and I'll watch you." It's like, step back.
Yep.
Yeah, hold my beer and watch this. But that's it.
Yep.
Did you ever get put in a position where you're like, "Okay, maybe I'm not the right person to do this, but I'm gonna do it. Watch this."
Yep. Actually, when you're going into the trades, you'll often have there's some antagonistic personality styles out there, and I've had a lot of guys over the years be like, "You shouldn't be here." People who believe that women or underrepresented groups. I hate making it just about women because this happens across the board with all people.
Mhm.
But I've had people tell me that I don't belong there. And I remember, like, for me, when somebody tells me I can't be there, that's when I want to prove them wrong because I've had so many people come up to me at the end of a job, people that were so brutal, and they'll shake my hand and say, you proved to me that you can actually be here, that women can be in this industry. And I always have the same comment for them because I don't want to be recognized as a woman in this industry. I want to be recognized as a skilled trades professional. On the job site, I do not identify as a female. I identify as an iron worker, a welder, a boilermaker, whatever I'm on the job site for. That's very important to me. So I've been known to go onto job sites and immediately find my supervisor. If I'm on a new job site, they don't know me. They see my name on the list. They think I'm a dude coming in.
Mr. Jamie, right,
Yes,
right. We talked
exactly.
about that earlier. Mr. Jamie McMillan.
Yeah, so they think I'm a dude, and then when they see that it's a girl there, they're gonna say, like, "No, we're gonna put you in safety or something," but I'll walk right up to my foreman and general foreman, superintendent, and I'll say, "Look, I know I appear to be female, I am female, but I want to be treated like an iron worker. I don't want special treatment for being a girl.
Good.
I'm here to do a job."
I love that. I completely love that. Gritfire says apprentice. Okay, we read that one a while ago. I thought that was a different name a while ago. Other apprentice, maybe
"Hello,
not.
D."
Okay, so let me slowly come back down here. D says 100% agree. Agree
We
there.
talked about
And I
him.
know we're behind, so they agreed on something a long time ago. Thank you. And they will teach. And now we're talking about old people. Absolutely. Old people. I'm not calling anybody else old. I'm talking about the old people. I get it. Uh, this is true. And I am going to try to get further ahead. That's awesome. This is absolutely nailed that, Jamie. She's nailing every. I'll tell you what, this has been fun to do because look, we've already figured, know you for about 4 years. Finally got to meet yesterday. Uh, we go to a lot of those trades conferences. We're always ending up at different ones, but it was fun to just get to know you and just talk trades, talk shop, whatever you want to call it. It's been a blast.
It's been awesome.
Women joining the trades is identical to women joining the military. We get the same comments and treatments. We have to prove ourselves all the time. It's getting better, but that attitude still lingers. Zena M, I'm not going to disagree with you. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And I'm going to say this, and I don't want to sound wrong. You're entering a predominantly male industry service, but as we see, it can be overcome.
Yes. I feel like it all comes down, though, to emotional intelligence. If people are treating you that way, it's something wrong with them. It's not something wrong with you. It's their own emotional intelligence.
So I was going to say, is it your EQ or theirs?
It's theirs. It's on them. I mean, if you're a terrible worker and they're reprimanding you for it properly, then, it might be on you. But just some of the way people bully or behave, those difficult personality styles, it has to do with people's personalities, people's temperaments, and their emotional intelligence.
It's a great way to look at it.
Yep.
And I like this. How do you deal with toxic people when in the union? How do you change the culture for someone like that? And I think when you've both talked about it, you outperform. To me, it doesn't matter if they look at me and see a rat, her and see a female, and they're like, "Hey, you ain't never gonna make it." But once I outperform every plumber on the job, and I do that every day, then they're like, okay, just might make it." And you told a story about another superintendent that brought his guys over the handrail, and they're like, "Look, watch her.
Yep.
Do what she does, and you'll make it."
Yes. Yep. That was actually so it was up scare, Pete, it was actually Dave Rollins. So it was one of the superintendents he was working with. So he was one of those guys that was on that job.
It's a cool deal. It's when you finish the job and stand back and look at it that gives you a sense of accomplishment. I love that. So when you go out with guys and y'all are driving down the road, you're going out to dinner or something, do you like, "Hey, I worked on that building"?
Yes, my friends get sick of it sometimes.
Okay.
It's a pride factor. Does anybody
It
in the trades not do that?
no,
Like,
no, we all do it, and that's why I asked. I can imagine being a guy going out with you like, "Oh god, Jimmy," or you're like, "Hey, I worked on that building." Like, "Yeah, you tell me every time we drive this way, and we drive this way 10 times a week. Yeah, I hear it every day. But we're all like that. And this is one thing when I try to recruit people into the trades, this is the most prideful profession you're ever gonna get in.
I agree.
100%. I mean, you find somebody that loves what they do, and I mean, it's like, I built that. I worked on that. I did that. I did that. I did and I mean, you start seeing that, that they're rolling their eyes like, "Yeah, I know." It's pretty cool,
But we're
but
artists.
yeah.
Like, imagine somebody who did a masterpiece and they're so proud of that art. We do art in the form of structures.
Mhm. And it is a sense of accomplishment,
Oh, yeah.
and it feels good because one thing I started to say earlier when I'm talking to kids, whenever I'm trying to recruit people into the trades, I told them, "When you walk outside today, when you head home, I want you to think how many houses, offices, bridges, roads, playgrounds, anything that is above the ground, look at it, because tradespeople built that,
Yep.
every bit of it." And they start getting a look at it, then they're like, "Wow."
I'm gonna take that further on you.
Uh-huh.
So everything from the deepest mine
Mhm.
to the furthest space station, trades are out of this world. You think about that space station out there. It needs to be built and maintained by people who know how to use their hands.
Now, I will say a lot of those are engineers because one of my YouTube buddies, Mark
Sure.
Rober, was a NASA engineer, and he helped build the craft that's up on Mars. But, I mean, you watch what he does.
Yep.
Dude, you're working with tools, you're cutting stuff, you're putting stuff together, you're thinking about it from a mechanical point of view,
Absolutely.
and, to be honest, most tradespeople that are in the trades, I'm gonna say probably 20 years or so, you're a mechanical engineer in a way, in your field. Now, maybe you couldn't go past the mechanical engineer exam, that's fine, but you've gotta know stuff that you have figured out over the years, and I love the way it is.
Yeah.
Steph said, "This is so true about the unions. I agree with you, but you are the one keeping the job going." Absolutely. And I reached out to my union and said, whenever I first started doing social media, and I looked at the numbers, and the union had grown like, I wanna say not at all. The union had hardly grown at all in 10 years, maybe 3% if I'm not mistaken was the number at the time. And I reached out to the union and said, "Look, I'd like to talk to y'all about a sponsorship. I wanna recruit people into the union because I do believe in the education, the pay, the benefits, the pension." I feel sorry for all the open shop plumbers out there that there's no retirement plan. Most of them, there's not. And that's one of my favorite things about the union is look, there's a retirement plan. I saw my paperwork the other day. I can wait 2 more years and bring home $2,500 a month, I think, or wait 7 more years and bring home almost 3 grand a month, 4 grand a month. I'm
Yeah.
like, "It's not a bad deal."
No.
Alright, so Justin Mercier Jr., how are you doing? What is happening? Zepskier says they get laid off because they don't try. And that's it. You don't have to be the best. Try to be the best.
Yeah.
Just try to give 100%.
Yeah. There that's one of the reasons you get laid off, but also in the union, we're dispatch workers. So in a lot of cases, like for example, I get dispatched out and I'm constantly working myself out of the job. I might go to a job, work for 3 weeks, the job is done, I get laid off, I'm back to the dispatch list. So there's different reasons for getting laid off, but you have to go back to the dispatch list, or in some unions, you're allowed to solicit your own work. So you do a good job on that job, the employer is gonna refer you to another employer. Like, if you're at a car plant and there's multiple employers, you finish up with this job, next thing you know, you walk over
They
to
may
this
pick
job.
you up.
I mean, I was working in Fort McMurray. For anybody who doesn't know that's the gas and oil sands up in northern Canada in Alberta. I was working on the job site. The iron workers literally ran out of work. Everything slowed down, and they kept mostly just iron workers from Alberta. I wasn't ready to go back to Ontario because Alberta has mountains, and I love mountains. So I wanted to
You
stay.
just want to go hiking.
I do want to go hiking. And then so I wanted to stay desperately, and the Boilermakers happened to be taking on permanent iron workers to go work with the Boilermakers, and that's how I ended up transitioning and going into the Boilermakers union as well. So I kept my job by jumping ship to another company and another union, and was able to maintain my position on that job site.
That's neat because here in Dallas, and it may be that way across the United States. Dallas is the only place I've worked in the union. We go to work for companies, meaning, you know, Brand Engineering needs a plumber. My name's next on the list. They're like, Roger, go out there. Or Brand Engineering calls and says, let me see the list of the plumbers on the bench. And they go through and say, we want numbers
Request a few, yeah.
3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
But normally here, when you go to work for a company, you're at that company for as long as they got work. They don't want to let you go. And that's really pretty cool. I love that. Adrian Gonzalez says Texas heat during a rough in. It's a game changer. And it can be, but I mean, they have the same heat and their cold is like cold that I don't want to go out and work in. As an iron worker, do you do a lot of underground work or is everything above?
Oh no, we've worked in mines and
Okay.
different places. Yeah.
Cool. Zeph Gear says, I've been in the same company for over 15 years because I do my best every day and I am not special. I just don't give up. And I love that. And that's the cool thing about that. I mean, think about that. Me, I did not stay at the same company. In the union, literally every 2 or 3 jobs, I'd go to a different company. And I had people come up to me and say, it's like, dude, why do you leave? Like, well, I don't leave. Somebody pays me to go over there.
Yes.
Meaning they're like, hey, look, we need the superintendent with your skill sets, your communication skills, your relationship with this particular contractor. And I mean, it's like, just slide the piece of paper over. It's like, here's what I need. And they're like, well, I can't pay that. It's like, okay, well, I'm good where I'm at.
Yep.
They call you a week later. It's like, okay, I'll pay it. Let's do what we got to do. I remember when I got out of the union into management role, my last superintendent job, I made over double scale.
Wow.
So imagine what scale is where you're at. Scale set all across the country. I was over double scale plus benefits like vacations and stuff like that. And it's because I did exactly what he said. Show up every day. You don't have to be special. Show up every day. Give your all. Do what's expected of you. And right there, you're going to be better than 90% of people on the job.
Yeah. Attitude. It's about attitude at the end of the day.
Justin Mercer Jr. says, big fan in, I'm assuming that's Massachusetts, working as an apprentice for a small company. Appreciate all the knowledge you put in. Then for the guys like me, falling in love with the trades. Do you love your job?
Yes, I do. I do love my job. I don't always love some of the behaviors on the job site, but I love my job. Just the physical aspect, the mental aspect, the learning, it's and the empowerment of being able to walk away at the end of the day and say, I did that.
It's a neat feeling. It really is. Chris Page 3 says, I interviewed for a job. Congratulations to you. The Plumber 97, really good advice. Thanks for sharing. Zepscare says, I use a bandana and it works. Love all of the advice you give. Thank you very much. Cooling temps.
Yep.
You have those up in Canada?
I have never seen a cooling tent on the job. I've seen tents that were set up for heating. I've not seen cooling, but that's when they go and bring us our popsicles.
There you go. There you go. No, cooling tents are neat. We don't see them a lot down here. We've normally got areas in a building or a shaded area and fans and stuff like that that we can get into. Pretty cool though. Jacob Kansvader, oops, says the single best way I found to work in these really super hot days is honestly, if you can start your day as early as possible. Doesn't always work schedule wise, but that's the best way. I used to love that because here in Texas, it does get hot. And when we were on jobs in the summer, I always tried starting at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Guys come in 5:30, jump on the bus, run over to the trailer or run over to the job site. We're out by 2:30. Here, it starts getting hottest between probably 2 and 5, 2 and 6. So, I used to love that. And then we even went to, like, 10-hour days, rotating 4 10s. So, you'd come in at 6, you'd leave at 4:30, but 1 week you'd work Monday through Thursday, the next week you'd work Tuesday through Friday. So, you get a 4-day weekend this weekend, 2 days the next. 4
Nice.
the next weekend, 2 days the next. It was good stuff. So, yeah, I love that. Freezes. Like, freezes are part of life. We've all got to work in them. Uh, subscriptions are just as crazy as scaffolds.
Well, another cool thing too is working up in the oil sands when I was up there in the cold winters. You get great heated jackets now. Like the technology that they put into work gear now. Like
I've got some
I
of
had a
those.
battery pack heated jacket that because I'm not a cold person. My dad, he can work in the cold. I can work in some heat that other people can't work in.
So why do you live in Canada? Never mind. Never mind. I just, I always ask people from up north that. I hate cold. I
Yeah, me too.
I just what's your favorite memory from working on the tools?
All of them. I have so many good memories from working on the tools. It's really hard to narrow down. However, one of the great things I love about working in the skilled trades is the transferable skills that we get and the opportunities we get to work alongside other skilled trades, which I've gotten to work alongside every skilled trade out there. So I have multi experience. My favorite job, so I'll give you my favorite job. It was my favorite experience. One summer, I got a call from my union hall that they were looking for iron workers to go help out with the power line technicians. So, those big transmission towers that you see all over the countryside, they're nice and high, 160 feet high. I got to spend an entire summer helping the power line technicians put a special coating, like a paint coating on those towers to keep them from rusting so they don't have to change them out. I have to say, in all the years that I've been in the skilled trades, I loved that job so much because we were getting paid pretty decent money, actually pretty sick money,
Yeah.
to literally climb monkey bars and finger paint every day. And I was in the best shape of my life that summer because every single part of my body was
You
moving.
bet
So
you use it all.
I always say if I can go back in time, like I love every single skill trade, but I would love to work on power line.
So, and mine probably one of my favorite things working on tools is showing the apprentices and talking about getting in the union and outperforming. I'd tell them, you get me any apprentices you got, and I would teach those apprentices how to get really good at something. It may be setting anchors, it may be cutting pipe, it may be putting it together, whatever it is. But you give me an apprentice, let me have a day or two with him. I will lay him out on something and teach him how to do something to where I don't have to mess with him. When he comes in next month, says, "What I'm doing, same thing you did yesterday. Go get it going." And that makes it kind of fun because then you get to watch them learn and grow and get better. Zeskar says, "What was your favorite site that you've been on?"
It was the one I met you, Pete. So many different sites. I worked for Mammoet, which is, I don't know if you have Mammoet, I'm guessing you do. So Mammoet is one of the world's largest crane and heavy lifting companies. So we would lift and transport things. It was epic because I remember the one time, this was super cool. We had to go over to the canal and there was a big 350-ton transformer that was coming off a ship. And we had to pick it up and put it onto this is the stuff you see on like Discovery. So we had to pick up this 350-ton turbine and put it onto a self-propelled modular unit and bring it 11 kilometers. I guess that'd probably be like 8 or 9 miles over to the job site and then have it on a turntable so that they can pick it up with the overhead crane and install it. It was one of the coolest jobs. There was like camera crews there. There was like the newspaper was coming out. It was just wild to see how you can take something so big and use modern technology to transport it from one place to another. I think that was just working for that company was so cool.
That is neat. And probably my favorite site is over in Grapevine. I built the Great Wolf Lodge,
Oh, I know what those are.
the water park. So we didn't work for the general contractor that was building the hotel. We worked for the swimming pool contractor, and we, as a union contractor, did all the underground to all the water park. And it was so neat because at the time I'd moved up, I was like lead superintendent. I also helped get out and quote jobs, and this job came in through me. And you've got to go into a company and sell it and say, "Look, we can do this job." And so I did. I went in, I made a pitch. They said, "Let's figure it out." So went and met with the pool people. They liked us. We started getting quotes on everything, putting it together. We got awarded the job, and I'm thinking, "Okay, now I'm gonna go find us another one." And as soon as we get it, the vice president of the company came up and said, "You know that you're the only superintendent we have that can run this job."
Wow.
But I got to get out and run it and work on it, and it was really, really cool. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Uh, so cool. D says, "Electrical apprentice from Southern Ontario." D says, "I'm soaking in all the advice." Sean Hopkins says, "I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida." Zeps says, "Carpenter from Canada." Been in the trades over 30 years. Good for you. I started in the trades in 1980.
I
What?
just caught Dee's question.
Which one?
The one right at the very top.
Oh, we will be there here in a moment. I'm assuming that's who it is. Uh, yeah, Dave, for some reason, not bot keeps blocking your stuff. I got a thumbs up there. Haha, thanks. Matt McDonough, Mr. Miyagi of Plumbing. What's up, brother? It is good to see you in here. I hope you're doing well. Uh, actually, great seeing you. Jamie is the best at proving people wrong.
Thanks, Dee.
Man. Yes, completely agree with that. D says, "Hey, Jamie," and we're getting closer to being caught up. We're still behind.
We did speak about Dee on the podcast, so you'll have to tune in, Dee.
There you go. And I do have a link. Matter of fact, I should have pinned that. Why didn't I do that? Colton, if you'll go up and find the link that I put into the Trade Talks channel and pin that up top, if you're still in there, that would be wonderful. There it is right there. Let me see if I can do that from here. There we go. So there should be a link pinned to the top. Now y'all can go up there and click on that, go over and subscribe, ring the bell, and you'll get notified when these podcast interviews come out. Zach Scarce is all about performance. Doesn't matter who you are. And I completely agree with that. Now, in the union, sometimes there is nepotism. I've seen it. I don't like it. Matter of fact, I'll tell you how much I don't like it. When Randy was in the union, when he was younger, he went through this phase where he's coming in late, he's needing to leave early, using his kids for excuses for everything. And one of my friends, he was over on his job and he called me. He says, "Hey, I got your son on my job." I said, "Okay, good." He said, "Man, I got problems." I said, "Okay, tell me." And he tells me, he said, "What would you do?" I said, "I'd fire him."
Yeah.
He said, "Roger, that's your son." I said, "I understand. But if I'm not going to fire him, I can't fire anybody else for it." And Kenny says, "So what do I do?" I said, "Go ask him. He'll tell you." So he did. Walked up to him and says, "Hey, look, I got a question." So, "Man, I got a problem. You're coming in late and leaving early and a lot more than should be."
Mhm.
Says, "What would your dad do?" He said, "My dad would fire me." She says, "Okay, that's what I got to do." So I understand. And, sometimes it takes that.
Yep.
Getting fired to say, "Man, why was I doing that?" So
Yep.
sometimes you're right. It really doesn't matter who you are. It's
It's
how
about
good a job you're
production,
doing.
right? At the end of the day, you have a job to do. You have a certain amount of money on the line. You have to finish a job, and if it's not being done, then you have
You
to
got to
let
get
go
the
of
right
the
people in to do it.
say you have to cut the fat.
Mhm. Yes, we are proud of what we do as tradespeople every day. Green industry tradesman here. Green industry tradesman. Good deal. 25 years this month. Yeah, you're not that green. Echo Echo Redmax. Honda, please sponsor me. Uh, I guess you're looking for sponsors from Honda. Undercover Lou says, "I have just started my apprenticeship. Have you got any advice?" Number one, what kind of apprenticeship? Number two, and you can go online and look. You can always find that thing that says, 10 things that'll make you better that require no skill. Show up on time.
Mhm.
Be honest. Uh, give your very best. You do those 3 right there, you're putting yourself ahead of everybody else because most people aren't trying to do that. Most people, they're on time most of the time. When you ask them to give their very best, they're like, "I am," but then they're sitting over here in the corner, you know, playing Donkey Kong.
Yep.
I started to say Pokemon. So, yeah, just man, that's the greatest thing. Show up on time, give your very, very best, don't leave early. When they need somebody, when somebody says, "Hey, man, we left something here," say, "Look, I'll get it." Volunteer to help. Be part of the team.
But also have a good attitude about safety. Some people are not safety conscious, and you have to have remember, at the end of the day, you wanna go to work you wanna go home the way you came to work. You wanna be safe on the job site. So some people are annoyed with personal protective equipment. They don't wanna wear the harness, and they can get complacent in the workplace. Be super vigilant about your safety. You've got
Mhm.
one life to live. You've got one skin you're in. Take care of it. And who cares if it doesn't look nice? People want to look sexy sometimes. And I say, hey, being smart is sexy. Wearing your proper PPE is sexy.
Here's the thing, and she's right. It gets down to one simple thing. Do the things you're supposed to do. That's it. You're supposed to have your hard hat on, have it on. Bruce said Bruce power cooling tips. Okay, back up to that one. Donnie Montgomery says, "I love plumbing, been in it 18 years. To the new apprentice, just listen and take in the knowledge." That's what I've been doing today, just listening, taking in the knowledge. D says, "Jamie, who is your favorite electrical apprentice?" I'm kind of figuring I bet I can answer that one. Just saying. I bet it starts with a D.
Dee is like a family to me. I absolutely love Dee. I met her when she was in a grade 12 shop class. She's the only girl in the class, and I gave her my number, and she one day texted me out of the blue, and we've been connected at the hip ever since. She's like my chosen sister in life. You
I
have your
love
blood
it.
family, you have your chosen family.
I
I
love
love
it.
you, Dee.
Undercover Lou says, "When should I show progress in my skills? I've been an apprentice 1 week."
1 week. So everything that we were talking about before, show up on time, have a good attitude when you go onto the job site, and don't be afraid to ask questions. As an apprentice, you still haven't developed all your spider senses. You have to be vigilant of safety and everything around you. Show up on time, wear your proper equipment, and work with everybody that you can. Absorb it. Think of yourself as a dry sponge, and you're going in there and you want to learn everything that you can. That's what's going to make you a worker and a good apprentice. And also, the great thing, I don't know what company you're with, but a lot of companies give you an opportunity to for free education.
Mhm.
When you get into companies, especially unionized organizations, there's so many different courses and opportunities that you can take while you're an apprentice. If there's anything, continually upgrade your skills, because that's how you're going to climb that corporate ladder within. And I will be honest, out of all the career pathways that you can take in life, I do not see any other career pathways that have as many opportunities as there are in skilled trades to go from being that apprentice to, I think it's you that says one of the quickest ways to become a millionaire in 2023 is through the skilled trades. There are endless opportunities in this industry.
Mhm. And one other one, and we in a way, we've talked about it, but we hadn't said it this way. When you seek out that old person to work with, the crusty, ornery, old, grumpy guy, show the most respect in the world for him because he's teaching you skills that have made him an amazing living,
Yep.
and respect that. And if he gets on you because you're just doing something wrong, say, "Okay, you know what? He's trying to teach me to do it the right way." Don't take it personal. Show him respect. That's huge. Zep says, "I love teaching apprentices and watching them move on and do great things with their career." That's why I said when I was on my tools or even as a superintendent, I would make some apprentices foremen. And people are like, "Well, you can't do it." It's like, "Well, he works harder than the journeyman you're sending me. So you do what you do. I do what I do." And I'm telling you, if you give them that opportunity. And I like you said that watching them move on and do great things with their career. Most of the apprentices that I worked with and moved up and put in position and taught them to do the things the way I did it went on to become great superintendents. So it's neat. Ray Lee, the gamer, says, got into commercial plumbing coming up on my 1 year anniversary, almost 40 years old. Took or talk about learning on the fly and get a lot of information coming in quick. It's great. It's drinking water out of a fire hose because there's so much to learn about all of it.
Yep. You never stop learning in this industry. That's one of the things I love most about it is that every single day you are learning different things and experiencing different things.
And I want to say this, a lot of people do stop learning. A lot of people, especially, and I'm going to call it a licensed skilled trade. If you're a plumber, an electrician, an HVAC tech, and I'm going to tell you because I see this and I talk to other people about it. When we get into the trade, we get in to become a plumber.
Right.
When we get in, that's our goal. Guys, you're aiming way down here. It's easy to become a plumber. Show up every day, learn, and take the test and do your deal. And then once we get our license, we stop. We show up every day, we go to work. I got in to become a plumber. I are one now. It's what we do. We plumb. And that's why I teach a lot of the things that I do. If you'll learn construction management, if you'll learn estimating, you'll learn communication skills, you'll learn leadership skills, learn personality styles, how to communicate with different people. You're going to move up quickly. Never stop learning, but unfortunately, a lot of us do.
It's interesting. Earlier, we were talking about, when you go out and you work on a contract company and you're working yourself out of the job all the time. And then we talked about layoffs. I remember when I was an apprentice, you're not supposed to ask for your own layoff, but I had been working at the one steel plant for so long in the same area of the steel plant that's what I felt like. I felt like
I'm
I
not
was
learning.
I felt like
Yep.
and I really wanted to. So if you are doing an apprenticeship and you work for one company in one place, you're going to learn everything that company has to teach you. And you're right, you're going to eventually just stop learning, and then your job just becomes the same old, same old. I actually asked my employer for a layoff because I had never worked in the car plant and I wanted to take an opportunity. So I went to see my supervisor, said, I know I'm not supposed to ask you for a layoff, but I really would like to expand my knowledge. If you become used to something and you just stay there for the paycheck and you don't expand your knowledge, you're right, you're going to stop learning. But if you want to learn and you keep moving from different job site to job site to learn different things, that's how you become a very well-rounded. And I still don't know everything about the trade. I am
None
not
of
an
us do. I
expert.
don't know everything about plumbing. I tell people that they're
Yeah.
like, you know everything there is about plumbing. No, I don't. I've just been a plumber for 43 years. I've worked in service, new construction, industrial, residential, commercial, union, non-union. I can tell you all about it, but that doesn't mean I know everything. That means I've got a lot of experience, and experience brings you knowledge. But look, you ever meet anybody that says they know everything? Get away from them. They're full of it. Zeskir says the Great Wolf Lodge, that would have been a really cool job. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's one of those jobs as a superintendent. I learned to use a total station. Have you ever used a total station to lay out points or anything like that?
No.
It is advanced technology, but it is so cool because I learned how to use XYZ coordinates, and man, it was just the neatest thing on earth, learning new tools, new equipment. And I mean, literally, when you put a dot on a ground, it's like that's where that line comes up. There's no tape measure. It's not, hey, we're close. It's like that's it. It's neat stuff. Donnie Montgomery says Donnie Peterson Plumbing. I live it. Been doing it for 18 years. For new apprentice, just listen to the knowledge they give you, and man, and show the respect for it. Mechanic for IBM. I love that. Star to be 83. Work hard, play harder.
Yes.
Tradespeople do that quite often. D says the safety squint. Just put safety glasses on. Yeah, yeah. We don't just squint. Undercover Lou says, I'm a UK plumbing apprentice, by the way, and I've been told by my tradesman that I'm the keenest apprentice he's ever had. I just love being an apprentice. Guys, and here's the deal. It starts there. You know, do you think you could have been a lazy apprentice all the way through, then you turn out as a journeyman, now you're gonna be good?
Oh,
You've got to understand from the get-go, look, you learned that's where you build your character. That's where you build your work habit. And if you're that apprentice that comes in and says, "Hey, look, I can throw a chain fall over one shoulder, cables over the other, and run down the stairs," compared to that guy who comes out and says, "Yeah, that's heavy. I'm just gonna carry one," and, you don't run down the stairs, you just kinda lollygag down the stairs. It's like, "Dude, look, I'm gonna work circles around you, and it's gonna be embarrassing."
yeah.
Be the very best. And I know I put a link in here, to that book, The Dip. If you're not trying to be the very best, why not? Do you think the very best tradesman on the job makes good money?
Yes, and they stay employed a lot longer too.
They end up making more money, guys, and I'm just telling you, it's easy. And right now, it's really easy because most people getting in the trades aren't trying to be the best. They're just getting in like, "Hey, I got a job.
Paying bills.
Yeah, mama's happy, daddy's happy. I got a job. Don't get off my tail now."
Yep.
But if you come in and say, "Look, I wanna be the best," and you show up every day with that mindset, which we've talked about, your attitude, and you come in, it's like, "Look, how do you be the very best?" We've talked about it. What is it really like to be in the skilled trades? If you wanna make great money, you show up with that attitude every day, "Look, I wanna learn all I can today." You don't have to learn everything day one, but you gotta come in willing to learn every day.
I have an expression I've been saying for years, and this holds true to my heart. 1/3 of your life is work. For some people, they work a lot more. It's a passion, it's a hobby, it's their job. But 1/3 of your life is work. If you're going into a career that you don't like, that affects you in every other aspect of your life. You come home miserable, you take it out on your friends and family. You wanna find a career that makes you happy so that when your alarm clock goes off in the morning, you don't sit there and press snooze and look for excuses to call in sick that day, or you don't find excuses to leave work. You wanna go to work and feel good about your job and have that positive attitude. So when you're looking for that career and you're in that career, make sure you're doing your best to make it that positive experience so that it does improve every aspect of your life.
And that is so big. Uh, Zep says, "Learning is creating knowledge for yourself."
Yep.
I tell people all the time, if you wanna be in the very top of your industry, get up every morning, study your trade, your craft for 30 minutes to an hour. New tools, technology, equipment, materials. It's guys, there's new stuff every day. And if you're looking at what kind of new lifting equipment, hoisting equipment, saws, pipe, what's new out there, you do this for a year or so, you're at the top of your industry. You know more about your industry than most people do. Now, this is not just to know, now it's to do something. How do you implement with that? Hey, if we can get this tool, the total station I talked about, I saw a general contractor use it. I needed a sink laid out. The guy runs into his office, does something, comes out, sets up this machine, shoots a couple of points, puts a stake in the ground, says it's right there. So how do you know that? And he says, "Well, because this machine told me that." And I'm like, "Wait a minute." And I had to go through old school, and it was a weird shaped wall, and I'm trying to scale and measure and get close to this. Go out and check. Man, what I came up with close was right where he had a mark. And I'm like, "Okay, how did he do this?" So I found out what a total station was and about points and northings and easterlings and stuff like that. And it's like, "Okay, this is gonna be the future," and literally brought it back to my company and said, "Look," and when I say my company, the big mechanical contractor I worked for, and said, "Look, if we start laying out points like this on a job site, we don't miss walls." We lay out everything right where it is. So stuff like that is knowledge that, man, you're gaining, and it really is a big deal. Charles says, "Much love from Abingdon, Virginia. I do auto glass for a living, but you, sir, have helped me a lot, with cleaning pipes and all the works in my new home." Good for you, Charles. Been doing auto glass with my father, for about 19 years, and this is an amazing job and opportunity in my life, and it's a good trade. You drive a vehicle?
I do.
Has it got glass in it?
It does.
Charles got a job, long as me and you are out there. Dee says, "My mama always said knowledge is power." Absolutely, and the one with the most knowledge has the most power. Working on the bone says, "My journeyman is always trying to stop me from carrying the entire underflow package at once." I tell him, "Less trips, less time." He tells me, "No, you're an no, you're an inch shorter. I lift heavy weight." As an ironworker, you gotta lift heavy weight.
Yes, but we learn how to work smarter rather than harder. I mean, we wanna years ago, construction was considered a difficult job, and we didn't have the mechanical advantages we have now. I know some like, I don't wanna be that person, even if I could lift 100 pounds easily, I don't wanna lift that repetitively every day because I might be strong, but in 40 years from now, when my muscles do start to depreciate just because of age, that's when my body's gonna start falling apart. So it's you gotta think of long term, so you work smarter now so that you're not breaking down. Look at all the people in the industry, and I know my dad is one of them. He's a hard worker. He was a gold miner. He never stopped, and now he's got hip replacements and knee replacements. He's still strong. I mean, he's 74 years old and just sided his whole house that's 3 stories high by himself. But I mean, you want to take care of your body because again, you only have one body. You want to take care of it. So on our job sites, most of the time, I think we're only supposed to lift 50 pounds, and everything else we have mechanical advantages for.
Mhm. And then working to the bone says, says, "And safely."
Yes,
He's just
exactly.
smaller and not as strong.
Yep.
And look, the thing is, you don't have to be the strongest guy on the job. With the right tools and equipment, you know how to use a roustabout? Look, I done lift a 40-foot piece of pipe by myself. Do it right, do
Yep.
it safely, and that's really what it's all about.
And this guy
Uh,
is a heavy lifter. He probably knows how to use the
how to
proper body
correct guys.
mechanics as well.
Uh-huh. This here says, "We move so much material, and I always listen to what people say and go through and pick out the best way because sometimes the way you do it is not the best way. So listen to everyone, good or bad." And that's I like that because when I first got in the union, I asked the friend who got me in the union, "What advice would you give me?" And the one thing he told me that man stuck with me, he said, "Always ask your apprentice how they would do things because they're learning new ways that you didn't learn." And I thought that was cool. And that airport job that I told you about, literally, we had 42-foot double randoms, and we're running, I think, 20 and 14-inch pipe there, and we were trying to figure out what is the best way to lay out a half a mile of pipe from one end of E terminal to the other end of E terminal, which I think's the terminal you flew in and out of yesterday. Underneath it, there's heating and chill water piping going around 214s, 220s. I came up with this idea. I mean, literally woke up with an idea one morning, drew it up, and showed it to my project manager, and he says, "We'll have to have this engineered and signed off on before you can ever move any pipe with it." And I'm like, "That's gonna take months." He said, "I know." So, okay. I took the drawing to a friend of mine and said, "Hey, build this, make this." And he made it, and literally, we could take this and strap it in the center of a 40-foot double random. It had prongs on it where you could slide your SkyTrack in it. So extend your SkyTrack out, pick it up, lift it up high enough, pull it back in where the bottom of it sat right on the tip of the SkyTrack, the bevel where the arm slid down. Sat right there, and I mean, got it about 15 miles an hour. You could drive from one end to the other, and we laid that whole job out in, like, 2 weeks,
Wow.
and there were about 4 months labor just for laying pipe out. And it's like, okay, this worked. You learn to think, you learn to look at things, and ADHD probably helps a lot
Yes.
because it's like, okay, wait, there's got to be a better way to do this. I know there's a better way. Oh, I got to just think of a better way. I know. Okay, wait, if I could do this? What if I could do this? And that's one thing, and I've talked about Michael Gerber a lot in all my videos because that was my first coach. But the one thing he told me that stuck with me forever, he says, look at the world you're in, look at what you're trying to do, and say, look, I know this could never happen. But if we could build this and it could do this, that would change the world.
Yep.
And I think that's the way people like me and you think every day. It's just like, look, what can I do to make this better? What can I do to make it easier? What can I do to make this happen? And I really think that's the way the world becomes a better place.
Yep. And I think a lot of skilled trades professionals, they're really good at their job, and especially with ADHD, because I think ADHD is a superpower in my perspective in skilled trades. If you're able to hyper focus and you can stay vigilant on certain things. But we were talking about this yesterday, how some people can just focus in on one thing and not see the whole picture.
Mhm.
And when you can see the whole picture and be creative in that thought and figure out something, then I think the job just goes a lot smoother.
Undercover Lou says, how do I put my hook back on my solder without burning my thumb? Well, if you want that hook there, you learn how to push it up against something where that tip will curve, or take your torch and just barely heat it a little bit at that tip and then push it, and that'll fold. That way you get your hook. Zephyr's Gear says, love it, work smarter and protect your body. Great message. D says, yes, sometimes us apprentices have good ideas. We are fresh eyes. And you're being taught, if you're going through, the UA, you're going through a union training center, PHCC, something like that, you're being taught by some really good people as long as they've got good instructors. And you can learn new things from apprentices. I love it. I literally just found this channel and you're live. LOL. Great timing. Lucky Black, thank you. Good to have you in here. Zeph's Gear says, you two are giving great knowledge.
Thanks,
It's
Pete.
her really. I just kind of sit here and play off of it. This is the ADHD crew. We got this. Lucky Black, almost every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. No, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central. No. Oh, yo, 11:09. I'm the other way. Yes. I'm thinking what
You go
time we
backwards.
started the podcast. Yeah, and I'm going backwards, and I was thinking what time we started the podcast. Yeah, 9 o'clock Pacific, noon Eastern, because we go live at
Oh,
11
yeah,
here.
yeah,
You
okay.
remember? Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you very much. Working to the bone. Appreciate that. Moosers and Dreams says, love working with a partner. Absolutely. Says, I wish I had me a Roger. Yeah, nobody wants a
Roger
Roger.
that.
She'll even tell you when she leaves. Yeah, you wouldn't want Roger. Kellel, thanks for this live, supporting women in all trades. Wish her a safe trip back to Canada. And
Thank
we
you.
are actually fixing to shut this puppy down and get out of here. We did make it through all the comments. Tell everybody where they can find you and connect with you and learn more about you and kick-ass careers and made in the trade and all the above.
All right. So Kick-Ass Careers is my educational program. So we engage, educate, and encourage youth or anyone who will listen to get into the skilled trades. You can find that all over social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, or you can go to kickasscareers.ca. We are an international program, while North America wide. We have representation in Canada and the United States. We're all authentic skilled trades professionals, passionate about speaking to people about getting into the skilled trades. And then on the other side, for corporate industry, I am building a whole corporate presentation now, and that is my personal brand. That is madeinthetrade.com. The logo is Made in the Trades, but somebody has that domain already. Please get in touch with me. I'll buy it from you. So yeah, madeinthetrade.com. And I'm also at Made in the Trade on all social media.
Love that. William Gustafson says, Roger, always love your videos. You bring such an amazing energy and positivity to the trades, and I love that you're making people aware of that. It's a great career. Guys, got to tell you, Roger rocks. William, checks in the mail, brother. I appreciate you posting that in there. Love being here and doing what we get to do. Jesse Schlock says, "Happy Saturday. I applied for an entry-level plumbing job 2 days ago. Thanks for inspiring me, Roger." You're welcome. Look, I love that. I was at Skills USA about a month ago, and literally a couple of different guys came up and said, "Look, you're the reason I'm in the trades. I saw your videos, started watching them 5 years ago, and decided I can do this." And now they're at Skills USA competing. So guys, like, you can. Listen to what I say. Listen to what Jamie says. Try to be the very best. Seek out the old guy. Learn from him. You're going to learn some mad skills. William Gustafson says, "As always, wishing you best. Regards from Alaska." Probably a little bit colder than where you're from. So, fun, fun, fun. Time for eggs and tortillas. Oh, I like that. Happy breakfast day. It's always a good thing. Safe trip. Follow them both. Yeah, if you're not connecting with her on social media, that's why I had her give all that information out. Connect with her, watch what she does. If you haven't subscribed here, hit the button, ring the bell. That way you know when we're going live, posting videos, doing things. And I had a link up top to go to the Trade Talks. That is where the podcast will be shown. And we're doing some cool things over there. We're having fun. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Yeah, I'm fixing to get Jamie out of here, feed her, and then get her on a plane, head her back to the Great White North.
It's nice and green and beautiful there right now.
That sounds so funny. I just don't even believe you. I think you're just teasing me.
I'm going home to my igloo and polar bear.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like those people saying, "Come to California, it's amazing. You get in the water. What is it? Ice freaking cold."
I live about 40 minutes from Niagara Falls, so
That is so cool. That part I want to come see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, man, thank y'all for being here. This has been fun. Jamie, thank you so much for coming down.
thank you.
I love what you're doing in the trades. I love the way you're helping people and just making the world a better place.
I ain't stopping. This is the hill I'm dying on.
I love it. I love it. Guys, come back. If you hadn't hit the thumbs up button, let YouTube know you liked it. If you really loved it, share it with people. Let them know all about it. I'm Roger Wakefield, lead AP, helping you make more money in the trades.